can feel like you're in the purging phase of Kundalini awakening forever. You've been crying, shaking, barely sleeping, maybe even physically purging. And there's this feeling of, will I ever have some peace? Will I ever get a break from this? In my work with one-on-one clients, they tell me all the time, that's like the question that they ask. It feels like this is taking forever. When will it end? There are real signs that your energy is shifting and that the most intense phase might be nearing an end. Just to be clear, I'm not talking about the end of the Kundalini awakening journey, because this is something that will be unfolding for the rest of your life. But this relentless detox, the emotional upheaval, the identity collapse, dark night of the soul, all of that does have an end. I put together 7 signs that you're nearing the end of the cleansing phase and what happens after that, because there is an after that. The end of the purification phase is the beginning of a completely new you, a completely new life. And you will get there, I promise. Sign number 1, you become more peaceful. This isn't you trying to feel peaceful. Peace starts finding you without any effort, even when things are happening that you'd rather not happen, even when there's just chaos and all of these symptoms are raging. There's just this feeling that everything is okay. I was working with a client, and the way she put it was, I'm still experiencing all of the symptoms. Nothing really has changed, but I don't mind anymore. And that's exactly it. You don't get lost in it anymore. You just don't mind so much. There's more of a sense, a deep sense of a feeling that all is well. And I remember when this happened for me, I actually had just come out of what I would call a dark night of the soul. And I was just walking through fields with my dog, and I felt peace. I felt like nothing is sticking to me anymore. I'm not trying to contend with it, figure it out, make it go away. I felt like this too shall pass and it's all okay. And those may be little moments, but they're actually huge. Every time that you have felt like a trigger comes up and you are able to see it and be with it without fighting it, without reacting, you just feel like, okay, this is going to pass. It's okay. I'm okay. That is a huge sign of growth and a huge sign that you are starting to shift into a more peaceful phase of this process. Sign number 2, your nervous system feels stronger and more resilient than ever. You're still sensitive. That's just part of this path that probably will never go away, but you're more grounded than ever. So I had a crisis with my daughter, and I was able to be like the eye in the calm of the storm, which I would not have been able to do before. And that's what you'll start to feel. More and more, you'll start to step into this version of yourself that is rock solid, even when things are difficult. And it starts out small, and then it builds into you're unshakable. Sign number 3, emotions arise, but they don't drown you. In this phase where you're kind of transitioning from purging to being much more peaceful and integrated, this process of purging doesn't actually stop, but it's different. I guess I would say, first of all, it happens more quickly. What used to take you weeks to move through your system and process this anger or whatever it is, now takes a day. And it's a cleaner process. Instead of being confused and you're not sure what's being purged, what's coming up to be released, it's very obvious that it is anger or it is sadness, or a memory will come up and you'll know, like, that's what's actually coming up to be processed. And you might do things like cry deeply and then be completely fine and feeling peaceful 10 minutes later, sometimes even 5 minutes later. Eventually, what ends up happening is you feel totally peaceful while you're crying deeply, which is very interesting to feel. Things just don't stick to you as much. They come in, they're processed, and then they are released. Part of this, I think, is just the emotions learning to be released without creating a bunch of drama. You start to gain some mastery. You're not repressing anything. You're just learning to be with the process of the releasing, of the transcendence of the lower states of consciousness. You're being present with it without losing your stuff. When I was going through the really intense purification phase, I started to notice that I was just able to remain more peaceful when triggers came up in my relationships. Somebody would say something, or push one of my buttons, and I just felt no need to react in the same way or to react at all. I just felt like it's not a big deal. Like the moment that I realized that I was really making some progress was when I realized that this is their stuff, not mine. Like they're having a reaction within themselves, and that's okay. They can have that, and I don't need to take it on as my problem. Sometimes it is my stuff, of course, but I could tell when it wasn't, and I could tell when it's just stuff that they need to work through. So those kinds of boundaries can be a real sign that you're moving into peace. Sign number 4, you start living again. Oh, this is so wonderful when this starts happening. You just notice that you're suddenly called to do simple things that bring joy. Gardening, singing, laughing, even just resting, hugging other people. This seems small, but it's actually huge. Because during the intense phase of this energy purging, just brushing your teeth can feel like a chore. I remember this. I remember feeling like I can't even get out of bed to brush my damn teeth. If joy is coming back, even in small ways, it means that your system is starting to stabilize. It's not all about the purging anymore. And I remember when this happened to me. I've always been an outdoor kind of person. I love hikes. I just love being in nature. But for a while, I was so cut off from it because I was just so in the thick of this purging process. But I literally remember going outside for a hike with my daughter and just feeling suddenly like everything was so bright and beautiful. And she's like, Mom, it's always been this way. It's always been this beautiful. And it wasn't that it had changed. It was that I was coming back to life. There was like this way of being that was going from constant purging, constant working things out. That was exhausting to, oh, there's life again. Sign number 5, you don't need to fix yourself anymore. One of the biggest signs that you're starting to shift from this huge purging into integration is that you're not feeling like you need to be healed so much anymore. There's this phase where it feels like that's all you want to do. Heal, heal, heal. And then it moves into just not feeling like you're broken, not feeling like there's anything to heal as much anymore. Of course, this isn't like a sudden shift for most people. For most people, it's like they just sort of gradually move away from trying to heal and fix and into this realization that they were never broken. And of course, you trust the process more. You trust that the energy clears what needs clearing. You don't need to micromanage it. You don't need to go to other people so that they can micromanage it. You can trust it. And a big one is that you stop asking when it will end and what it all means. You stop trying to figure it all out. This is a huge sign. With my clients, I know that they're starting to make a huge shift into a more positive phase of awakening when they simply stop asking if every little symptom and sign, what it means, is it okay? They stop asking, when do you think this will end? I'm like, oh, they've shifted. And you start to learn more and more from a sense of wholeness instead of woundedness. Not all of your lessons are from these big, difficult interactions or difficult things that happen in your life. You start to actually learn from joy more and more. I was a big person into healing, all kinds of healing. I was always healing myself, reaching out to healers. It felt like kind of what I needed to do. And I remember there was just this feeling like I didn't need to do any of that. And not only not reaching out to healers, but also not looking at astrology books, not listening to astrology videos, not trying to look up the symptoms of Kundalini awakening or am I enlightened? I just stopped doing that. And as I stopped doing it, it's just so much more peaceful to live in a space of being rather than trying to figure out how to be. You can hold paradox without panic. This is not a clear journey. This has nothing to do with a rational process of things unfolding in a linear fashion. That's not how this energy works at all. It's paradoxical. It brings up sadness and this sense of freedom and joy all at the same time in your body. You're fearful and at the same time filled with this faith that everything is okay in the same space. And in the beginning, you might want to figure that out. And as you're you're sliding over into a more integrated space, you don't need to figure it out. You don't need to resolve any of it. You can let things be as they are. You stop trying to figure it out. This is spiritual maturity. This is a huge sign of spiritual growth and progress. It's a sign that you're not trying to escape your humanity anymore. You're finally embracing it, and it is a journey of embodying divinity in human form, being fully human and being fully divine, not escaping mundane life to be more and more transcendent. You're not doing that in this process. You're being fully you and embracing all that you are. And this actually allows you, paradoxically, to be more of a divine being. Really, in the end, it's just knowing that you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know what can't be known, and you can trust the unknown. Some of the best things come from this unknown space. I mean, think about your own life. How many good surprises have you had that you could not have planned for or created or asked for or manifested? They just show up. That's what the unknown produces. It produces beautiful surprises. Sign number 7, Kundalini feels like an ally, not a threat. In the early phases, it can feel like Kundalini is almost attacking you. I have so many clients that I work with one-on-one who resent the Kundalini energy. They actually feel like it's destroying them and destroying their lives. It's never about the energy. It's about you working with the energy or working against the energy. Eventually, you realize that this energy is actually coming from a loving place that loves you more than you could even imagine, and it wants to love you into a new you and into a new life. So it becomes something that you're very grateful for. But at first, when you're first moving into integration and peace, this can look like you start to smile more when you're purging, when you're purifying. You might even see things that come up and know that they are coming up to be purified, to be transmuted and released. Instead of feeling like you are angry, you see anger as coming up to the light of your conscious awareness to be felt, processed, and transcended, transmuted. And sometimes this can even feel like a relentless process, sculpting you into your true form. But instead of fearing it so much like you did in the beginning, you start to have a new relationship with it. You start to talk to it, you listen to it, you allow it to move through you with more grace. You start to really realize that Kundalini is not something that's separate from you. It's not out there doing something to you. You really start to see truthfully, not just intellectually, but in a felt experience, that it is life itself. It is you. This can happen really gradually, or it can happen for some people all at once. There's just this new understanding. For me recently, I have been for a while feeling like Kundalini, of course, is a very friendly energy. I've felt that for years now. But recently there was a shift even deeper into this, into a feeling of just worshipful reverence and love that is so, so deep and devotional. And it came about after a breathwork session. I just cried and really felt such a oneness with it. And also this feeling of like, it is me without all of my crap. And that makes it an incredibly powerful divine energy, just like you, without all of your personal stuff, without all of your shadows and conditioning and limiting beliefs and all of this stuff. You are divine. You are so incredibly powerful and wise. It's not about you becoming that. It's really about you realizing it. If you're feeling and experiencing these things, you're making it through the fiery time. You might have a little bit more to go, but at least you're starting to make a transition. You're making a transition into wholeness, into integration. You're not the same person that you were when you started this journey. That's just what Kundalini awakening does. Now the energy starts to move with more grace because your resistance becomes more and more reverence. You start to embody clarity, radiance, this inner silence. You stop searching, you stop resisting, you stop chasing mystical experiences, you stop expecting mystical experiences, and you begin to value peace, minimalism, simplicity, and stillness. And this is because, and this is what I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we're going to talk about what happens after you integrate this energy. After the purging process is done, you start to begin begin to live more and more as your true divine self, peaceful, powerful, divine presence. Your nervous system is not on overdrive anymore, and it starts to become a clear channel for divine energy. You become an instrument. Your emotions are no longer so intense, and your sensitivity starts to become a gift because you recognize all of it as refined divine messengers of truth. You start to follow that more. You trust it more. And a big one, a huge one, huge, you start feeling like life is not happening to you, and it is unfolding through you and as you. This divine energy starts to move through you, speak as you. You become a vessel for it. You become a vessel of unconditional love, a presence that transforms everything in your presence without effort, without trying at all. Not because you're special, but because the divinity that you are is now all that there is, or it's becoming more and more all that there is. This is not the end. The end of the purification process is the beginning of embodied divinity. And if you're ready to live more and more from divinity, join the Sunday Kundalini Awakening support group. It's the first link, or maybe the second link, in the description below. And it's really helpful for anyone going through this process. There's a community. We do practices together. It's every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's donation based. So you can pay me, but you don't have to. And I'd rather have you not pay me and come than feel like you have to pay and not show up. Please don't let that be a barrier for you. I'd love to see you at the meeting. It's in the link in the description below. I hope this video was helpful, guys. I'll see you next time.